This is Factual 5, Sebastian here, bringing you mind-boggling facts about films you never knew. In the 1996 film Titanic, the sketch that Jack drew of Rose wearing the necklace while naked was actually drawn by the director, James Cameron. The hands that we can see while the sketch is being drawn are James Cameron's and not Leonardo DiCaprio's. Who knew that not only was James Cameron a hugely talented filmmaker who brought us films such as Avatar, The Terminator, Aliens and many more, could also be an extremely talented artist. When George Lucas was making the film American Graffiti, he was not a well-known director. In fact, he was completely unknown. He came up with an idea called Star Wars in 1973 and pitched it to Universal Studios. What did they do with this fantastic idea? They turned it down. 6 months later, American Graffiti was a huge hit as it grossed $117 million. This made Lucas very famous. After this amazing success, he was approached by an executive at 20th Century Fox who was so desperate to work with Lucas that he was prepared to finance Star Wars for him. Turns out it was a good idea, as the film is now in the top 24 highest grossing films in history. How does one sit down a toddler and ask it to make a certain sound, you ask? Well, Pixar certainly found out about this one during the making of the hit film Monsters Inc. The voice of Boo was a toddler named Mary Gibbs, and Pixar realised it was a lot harder to make a toddler sit down and record her lines for the film than they had previously thought. So what did they do? Well, seeing as Pixar are as good at making films as they are, they had to do one thing. They followed her around with a microphone while she was playing and pieced together all her dialogue from there. In the final film, what you can hear is all these different recordings taken from her playtime put together to create the final dialogue. What is the worst film of all time according to reviews as well as opinion polls on IMDb? Well, with an average rating of just 1.3 out of 10 on IMDb and a measly 2% on Rotten Tomatoes, the award goes to none other than the extremely conveniently named Disaster Movie. Not only did this 2008 film have it in the name, but it was also nothing other than a complete disaster. Starring actors such as Vanessa Minnillo, no, I'd never heard of her either, as well as Kim Kardashian, it was surely going to flop. One thing that is so shocking about this film though is how it actually made a profit. With a budget of $20 million US, it managed to gross almost $35 million US, meaning the worst film in history still managed to make a profit. What does this tell us about modern society? In 2009, Avatar finally made it to cinemas and didn't just succeed, it became the highest grossing film of all time and brought 3D back into mainstream cinema. But had the technology to make the film not cost so much 10 years earlier, then Avatar would surely have seen a 1999 release. Unfortunately for James Cameron, the special effects back then would have increased the budget to $400 million US, which is a huge number today, never mind 15 years ago. The high budget caused the film to be shelved for an entire 8 years before work on the film became possible and the making of this blockbuster could finally begin. It does though beg the question, how good would the film have looked back then? It is entirely possible that the film would have looked completely different. The success of this first film made sure that Cameron could continue his story, and Avatar 2 is scheduled for a 2017 release, with Avatar 3 coming out in 2018, and finally Avatar 4 being released in 2019, an entire 10 years after the first film. Can these sequels be just as successful as the first film? Only time will tell. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And have a good day.